Hello, this is Scott McDonald, and welcome to the perfect place to put a practice podcast. Now, just in case you haven't been to our new website, let me just share with you some great news. Now, the site that I want you to visit is called dentalsiteselection.com. Please let me recommend that you do so quickly. We've got some special stuff going on. That is where our new book for site selection has just been announced or released. Reviews have been very favorable, and I have to be honest with you, I'm very grateful. We're offering the book free for a limited time, and listen, you have got to go. We also have the audio version of the book, which is pretty useful for those who have a commute, and I know this is a podcast for you to tune in to get some information that otherwise you wouldn't get, and I don't want to make this sound like a sales pitch. What I'm going to talk about today actually is going to have some pretty useful tools in advancing the project of choosing a place to put your practice and even how to promote it. Ultimately, our purpose here is to answer questions about location, particularly about demographics. Still, I have a large number of doctors who want information so they can make their business plans in the coming year. I could have waited to January, but I thought, I'd do it now. You may be surprised how many young associates, students, and residents are ordering the telephone consultations from us right now. Now, to accommodate everyone and those basically who really want to take a little time to discover where they should go, I'm making some changes that you should know about, and that's what this podcast episode is about. Number one, so many of you want to have consultations during evening and weekends. Now, I am opening up those times so that they're available up to 9 p.m. Mountain Time and on Saturday mornings. I'm hoping that this will be easier for those who can't get time off work or get out of school to chat. I'm trying to make it easier for you. Number two, I am now opening consultations to a video chat format. I use a program called Zoom, which is remarkably easy to use. Once we schedule the consultation, you will receive a link by email. All you have to do is click on the link for a computer, including a laptop or a phone or even a pad, that has video and audio enabled. I'm doing this for a very specific reason. We have found that it is the best way to review data, tables, as well as maps to show you, rather than just tell you, about our findings. And there is no extra charge for this service. It's just being so valuable. Number three, if you desire, I will send you a link to the consulting session we've just had. In short, it's a code that will tell you how to access this file because I'm going to make a reporting. Now, starting in January, there's going to be a $25 charge, but until January 1st, 2019, you can get a free recording of the consultation. The obvious benefit is that you can review what we discussed at your leisure. Now, this is frankly particularly useful if I am reviewing several locations and you weren't able to get all the information down, particularly all the numbers associated with the areas that we're discussing. So therefore, I kind of thought this would be easier. In our experiments, it has shown to be very useful. It's very helpful, especially with maps. Now, number four, I have been doing this for a while, but I thought it might help to repeat a policy that we have on data. In advance of the actual consultation, I'm going to send you an email with the data that we will be discussing. Now, I'm sure you know that our consultation is not just a friendly chat sort of throwing around ideas. It is the result of my investigation and analysis that I do before we actually talk. You see, the idea is to share with you the facts and the analysis done so that our time will be used really, really wisely. Some people get the idea I'm making it up as I go. I'm not. The time together is where I'm sharing what we've learned. Now, number five, for the first time, I will accept data that you have ordered from other demographic companies, and we'll do analysis. So if you received a demographic data report from some other vendor, you can send it to me, but you have to give me at least 24 hours before the consultation for interpretation. Now, let me explain a little about this. Most of the time, other demographic companies will give you a score or a data sheet that depicts information about the area that you're trying to evaluate, the one that you're considering. Fine. The problem is that they rarely have any context, these numbers that they're giving you. So, for example, they'll quote a growth or an income figure for the area that you are considering. Fine. But you see, they don't have a measure that will tell you if that is high or low relative to the area that you're considering. So is it high for this state or low for this state? Mississippi and New York are very different. Is 1% growth per year acceptable, or is there a mitigating factor regarding the competition ratios? You see, ultimately, there's information behind the scenes, and that's what we offer. Just because there are many or few other practices does not mean that it is acceptable or unacceptable, particularly when considering daytime versus nighttime populations. And you know that there's a difference. Unfortunately, many of these companies don't distinguish that. They're rarely able to explain how the cost of living, for example, is going to impact the median household income. We can do that. In short, we can take your data that you've already gathered and purchased and tell you what it means. Now, I didn't do that before. I'm doing this because we're having so many people saying, well, what do I do with this? Of course, if they're not providing recent or relevant data, I'll tell you that during the session. And I'm not going to be critical of those other data gathering companies. All right, my purpose isn't to make life difficult for you or for them. I'm sure that they're going to do the best with what they have. But you see, you're going to pin your time, your career, and your life on an automated report. Well, it's not something that you want to have to depend on. It's really like getting a second opinion, and it's going to really help you. So I'm opening that up to you. There is too much at stake for being overly cheap when it comes to research. Many of these vendors include brokers of practices, realtors, and even graphic artists. Now, unfortunately, very few are demographers, and that is what we are. So, you may be asking why I'm making these changes. Well, there are really 5 reasons, and I hope you will consider this option for your research. And I'm always trying to find what's going to work best for you. Now, number 1, time. You have probably heard about or experienced the problem of finding a great site and then having it slip out from under you. You know what I mean. The great site is taken, or somebody else bought it, or someone else took it. You just don't have the time to mess around when it comes to making a decision on a practice location or site. These consultations can be done with very short notice, and you will have the answers you need very quickly. So time is important. That's why the consultations are useful. Number 2, money. While data can be very cheap or even free, good analysis is going to cost a great deal of money if it is not specific to your profession and the locations that you're considering. In other words, I know something about what you do and what's important to you. Often it will be older data that may have changed, and that's the problem with some of this. This process is not only fast, this consultation, it doesn't cost very much. Number 3, informed choices. If you're trying to decide between or among different locations, I have to be honest, this is the best way to get the relevant information to make the right choice by speaking to an expert one-on-one about your situation. Number 4, context. When we do our data analysis, we take into account the index and standard deviations. Now, while you may not be an expert in statistics and know about these terms, in short, what they're telling you is not only what the values are, but how different this area that you're looking at is from others. How different is it from the county or the state or the nation? For example, if you don't really know how much people earn in a given area, you're not going to understand the relative cost of living or working there. So that's something this can provide you. And number 5, there is no long-term commitment. Most consultants want to put you into some kind of a program. Well, I don't do that. In this case, we can take your issues and resolve them in a single session. I'm pretty direct about that. Now, what can we talk about? Frankly, we can talk about just about anything. Our consultations are to answer the issues that you want to consider for answers. Choosing sites, specifically states or major counties, the viability of locations that you're considering. You may want to look at a particular kind of practice or type. We can even talk about market positioning. In short, what services should you be offering given the demographic character? That's not a thing these other people can do. Now, these consultations are not going to take the place of a community overview report or a marketing report or a best sites report. However, they will certainly help you get the answers that you need quickly and inexpensively. So I want you to look at drdemographics.com and go to the telephone consultation. The video conference is not absolutely necessary, by the way. We can talk to you via telephone. But this is an option or provides options that we want to make sure you know about. To order the telephone consultation online, go to drdemographics.com and again, go to the telephone consultation page. This is Scott McDonald, and thanks so much for listening and watching.